I have 2 buns, okay? This one just, it disappears. When I heard this story, I knew I had to translate it for you guys. Before I start the story, I just want you to know that it's being told by this guy. But this did not happen to him. It happened to his friend. But she is so traumatized by this that she refuses to tell the story over and over again to people. So she has given him permission to share this on a podcast. So here we go. This happened in Durango on the Day of the Dead, El Día de los Muertos. If you haven't seen Coco, go watch it. I guess if you don't know, the quick summary is on the Day of the Dead, a lot of people go to their loved ones' cemeteries. They decorate them. They light up candles, leave some Mexican pastries. Some people dress up as Catrinas. They look like skeletons, but they're dressed up in like beautiful dresses, flowers. Men sometimes have like mariachi outfits. So at the time, a lot of the loved ones were in the cemetery, and some politicians were coming in, and they basically kicked all of the people out, like out of the cemeteries from seeing their loved ones, because all of the politicians were coming in. And his friend, the girl that this happened to, she just so happened to be working with the politicians at the time, and she was even dressed up as a Catrina. She was actually terrified of stepping foot in a cemetery. So yeah, she was forced to dress up as a Catrina and go into the cemetery with the politicians. She was actually very annoyed because none of the politicians were even there to like clean up or decorate. They were just there to save face. She noticed that most of them were like on their phones. The fact that they kicked out people at their loved ones' graves just so that they can be like, oh yeah, we went to the cemetery too. We celebrated El Día de los Muertos. She said that she noticed when the people who were kicked out were outside of the gate screaming at them like, what are you guys doing? Standing there taking pictures, but you're not really at anybody's cemetery, your loved ones. Like, these people who were kicked out were actually at their loved ones' grave sites, and you know, they wanted to celebrate. So she said she felt so bad, but there was nothing she could do because the politicians came with the cops. Like, they had backup. They were not gonna let those people back in. It was her job to say hello to all the politicians that were coming in, hand out hot cocoa and sweets, and she actually admits that, you know, towards the end of the night, she actually did end up having a good time. She said that they didn't end up leaving until 2 in the morning, and even then, there were still people outside of those gates trying to come in. She said that as she was walking out of the gate, something in her just like told her to say, I hope on today's Day of the Dead, you come and visit me, Grandma. So she ends up going home and goes to sleep. And that is when the guy who's telling us the story says that he was fast asleep that night when he gets a phone call from the girl. He answers and she sounds like something is wrong. And since she lived alone, he was like, what? Like, did someone go in there? What if there's a guy trying to rob her? He was trying to put his shoes on, like, I am on my way. And he's like still asking what is going on. And that's when she said, it's been here. And he's like, what's been there? Who's been there? So this is what she tells him happened. She tells him that she was fast asleep when she got woken up because she felt like someone sat on her bed. Her first instinct was, oh my god, someone has just broken into my house. In her room, she has a closet, and I'm sure you guys have seen these, like the closets are like top to bottom with mirror. So she's facing the mirror. She felt something sit behind her bed. She opens her eyes and she sees this huge silhouette of a man. I have chills. She says that this thing puts his hand on her hair, pushes her down, and in an old lady voice says, I'm here, baby, Grandma's here. But she could see that it's not Grandma through that mirror. She even mentions details of what this being looked like. She said that it was extremely tall, it was a masculine build, and that it was bald, with the voice of her grandmother saying, I'm here. She said that after that, this thing kept pushing her head in the pillow and saying, it's me, it's Grandma, in her grandmother's voice, and that she was looking, and that's definitely not her grandmother. So she was like, get off of me, you're not my grandmother. And this thing started laughing in her grandmother's voice, laughing. I swear, I cannot. And that is the moment where she started praying. She was like, Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, santificado. And that this thing was even laughing harder and harder. In that moment, she was praying and praying to the point where like it gave her the strength to like turn around and almost face it. And that was when it just disappeared. That was when she grabbed the phone, called him, and was like, something was here. And he went to her house, went back into that room. There was an imprint of a hand on the bed still. But not just that. There was chunks of her hair on that bed where that thing had grabbed on and was just like pounding her head to that pillow. He even mentioned, like, he was like, well, what if you were just having a nightmare? And she was like, what nightmare? Why would I pull my hair out? Like, I was clearly seeing it in the mirror. And he mentions that, like, till this day, she cannot sleep with the light on. Yes, on. Because the light was on when this was happening, and that was the only way that she could see that this thing was not her grandmother. She basically ends this story telling him to warn everybody that they really need to be careful on the Day of the Dead. She also feels like this happened to her because she was a part of what these politicians did to this town, and it was almost like karma, or like, you don't fuck with the people in the town that should have been in there with their loved ones because something bad was gonna happen. I still have chills. I want to watch this scary movie. I do. Even though it would probably scare the crap out of me, I'm already imagining it in my head. Also, don't have mirrors near your bed, but I guess you can't help it when, like, the closet is a mirror, but still freaking scared. Anyway, what do you guys think? I'm not gonna cry because I'm scared or anything.